Welcome into MIAA Basketball Saturday. I'm Calvin Silvers.
And I'm Harry Loomis. We're capping off the second week of MIAA conference play, and some teams and some athletes are off to especially good starts. Let's take a look at the athletes of the week.
The MIAA Men's Athlete of the Week is Trevor Hudgins from Northwest Missouri. This is his second time this season being recognized, and it comes off averaging 33 points in the past two games, both won by the Bearcats. Hudgins' week was highlighted by some efficient shooting as he shot 58.6% from three, including a school record 11 triples against Rogers State. I had the chance to talk with Hudgins this week.
I am here with MIAA Men's Athlete of the Week, Trevor Hudgins from Northwest Missouri. Trevor, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us today. To start us off, you were lights out against Rogers State. I think it was 40 points, 11 three-pointers. What's that feeling? What's it feel like? What are your teammates like when you're just on fire like that?
I mean, we kind of see it every day in practice. Like one of us out of the bunch is gonna get hot, and it happened to be me on last game. And I mean, my teammates just fed me the ball, took open shots, just ran the offense, and it was in my favor. I just got hot, and I just kept on shooting.
We know how good Northwest basketball has been, but it's a fairly new roster, new faces on the team. How have you and your teammates adjusted to your game?
I would say we're still learning our roles. I mean, I feel like we just started to roll and start playing the way we want to play. The young guys, they just show a lot of effort, and they're just so energetic that it helps everything offensively and defensively. And then you got the older players who know their roles and know what to do every time down the court, and we just play with one another. And I feel like it's a good fit right now. The young guys that maybe people didn't see last year, they bring a lot of energy and a lot of effort, and they're pretty good.
Obviously, the leader of the bunch is your head coach, Ben McCollum. And from an outsider's perspective, he seems to be fairly intense. Is that an accurate assessment, or does he have a different side?
I mean, competition. He's probably the most competitive person I know. He is intense on game days. He's in a different mode, but normally he likes to joke around and stuff, and the whole team does, and we're just kind of a goofy bunch. And I mean, but when it's game time. When competition is here, then we're ready to go.
Absolutely. And we know how good Northwest basketball has been. It's one of the most storied programs in all of Division II. What does it mean to you to be a Bearcat and to play Bearcat basketball?
It means a lot. It means sticking together, just family. The culture that has been here since I started here is amazing. This whole community just feels like a family. I feel like a lot of people have my back, whether it be teachers, training staff, strength coach, anybody. Just I feel like we're all sticking together here, and we just work hard, and that's about it.
Seems pretty simple. Well, you guys have been fun to watch. It's been a pleasure to watch you. Best of luck going forward for you.
Thank you.
The fourth winner of the MIAA Women's Basketball Athlete of the Week is Nebraska-Kearney's Shiloh McCool. McCool posted back-to-back doubles as number 21 Nebraska-Kearney grinded out a pair of road wins this past week. The forward averaged 13.5 rebounds and 13 points per game while shooting 48% from the field. McCool finished with 15 points and 16 boards in the Lopers' 49-43 MIAA opener win against Emporia State, then totaled 11 points and 11 rebounds in UNK's 72-50 victory over the Ichabods. The four-year sophomore has now posted 3 straight double-doubles. Her 60.8 field goal percentage currently ranks second in the league. I had the honor to talk with Shiloh McCool this week.
All right, I'm here with Shiloh McCool from Nebraska-Kearney women's basketball team. Shiloh, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And the Nebraska-Kearney women's basketball team, you guys are off to a really good start so far in the young season. You guys have won 6 straight. You guys sit at 7-1, and you guys finished 23-4 last season. What makes you guys so dangerous as a basketball team?
I think the most dangerous thing about our team is just that it's not one person. We have so many different people on a team who can score, rebound, do different things, and we just play really well together. So I think those are the things that kind of just make us just so dangerous this year.
And we'll talk some more about just how you guys play as a team and your depth a little bit. But till we get there, you guys are the Lopers have won their past 2 MIAA matchups of the season by combined 7 points. So they've been really close games. Talk about the toughness of the MIAA conference as a whole and how your team is still able to pull away when the game is close.
I mean, I think the MIAA, we talk about it all the time, is probably one of the toughest conferences in the country, which we're really lucky to play in that just because, we love tough games, tough competition. But yeah, this year especially, there's so many teams in the conference that are just like ranked nationally. But I think for our team, the most thing that helps us like pull out those close wins is our defense. Coach puts a big emphasis on that, even if we can't have a bad day scoring, we can't score, that our defense is what's going to help us win those games. So we put a big emphasis on just playing solid defense and getting stops.
So is the defensive focus something that you guys really work on in practice? Is it kind of more of you kind of touch on in practice, but when it's game time, you guys know to step up? Just really that defensive focus, is it all the time or just game time?
Yeah, it's an all the time thing. Coach always puts a big emphasis on it. Coach Deb does a great job in Bailey with our scout. They're very detailed in our scout. They say we need to know like obviously fundamentals of defense, but also just like personnel. And that's a big thing that we really focus on. So yeah, it's an all the time thing for us.
And that's nice to, have coaches and whatnot that can really scout out a team that's going to better prepare you guys when it comes to game day. So it's nice to have that around you guys. And just a little bit about you, the summer of 2019, it changed a few things for you after an injury. Can you take us through that process a bit? And especially how has your role on the team changed and how has your recovery been?
Yeah. So I finished freshman year. We had a pretty good year, and I think just as a group coming in, and then I got hurt, tore my ACL. So sophomore year I was just out redshirted that year. And, as much as that sucked, it was very helpful just to kind of be able to sit and watch and like listen to coaches and just kind of increase my game knowledge more. And then just last year coming back, it was tough just coming off an injury and just, kind of playing a little bit different and like playing a little bit more in the post and just we kind of changed our offense from when I played till then. So just kind of working on those things. And I think the big difference from last year this year was just being able to like play solid defense. Cause like I said, that's a big emphasis for our team. And I wasn't quite there last year. So it's something like coach really worked with me like this summer and this preseason, just making sure like I'm able to guard and play defense like our team needs me to. So.
Awesome. And I know that you were injured and you couldn't help it by like getting back on the court, but just sitting there. And even when you came back and, your minutes were changed a little bit, was that hard on you mentally?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think anyone who gets injured, it takes a big mental toll on you. But I mean, our team's just so great. We've had like Haley, she's been through a lot of injuries and she was very helpful, just like kind of talking me through that kind of stuff, and coach too, and just being like, you still have an important role on this team. It may look different than maybe you thought it was going to, but that's okay. And so, yeah, I think just like my family and my teammates are really great about helping me through that. So.
Well, that's awesome that you have a great supporting cast right there. And we're glad to see that you're doing better now. For you, just talk about what it means to come back from the injury and secure an MIAA Player of the Week honor.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really cool. I didn't even know about it until my dad actually sent me a picture and said, "Did you see this?" I said, "No, I didn't." But yeah, I think it's really cool. I just think it speaks volume on like our team as a whole, though. A lot of things for me honestly come really easy just because we have really good guards and other really good forwards and stuff. It just makes the game a lot easier for me. But yeah, I just think it speaks to our team as a whole and what we're able to do.
And that's awesome. And speaking of your team, my next question actually tailors that. So good thing you led us right into there. While you're back on the court from an injury, your team is still battling some injuries in other positions. What have you seen from players who've had to step up recently? And how confident are you in your team's depth this year?
I'm very confident in our depth. I mean, it really sucks just people getting injured, especially with like Claire Kirsch recently. She's a huge part of our team. I mean, she, the rebounding is definitely a big thing we're missing from her right now. But yeah, just as a whole, like we've kind of gone through some injuries, and so some people like who are playing are still kind of like in some pain and things. But I just think people have really stepped up. Some of our guards and like Brooke recently has really been playing great, and Liz and Meg and everybody. I just think we have great depth and we play really well together, which I think is helpful when some people are out and down. We have other people that are willing to come in and we can just play well together. So everyone just kind of meshes.
And that's awesome. I think too, especially in the sports world, that people forget that team chemistry is a huge part of the game. Yeah, you can have these great individual athletes, but the team works a lot better when everyone comes together. So glad to see that from you guys. Heading to Fort Hays State this weekend, and while you guys won last season, the year before that was a close game as well, and the series really has a lot of close matchups. What do the Tigers do that keeps them in close matchups, and what do you guys need to do to grab a win in Hays?
I think one of the best things that Hayes does is they are a very good transition team. They run the floor extremely well, and they're able to score a lot of points, like just kick out threes and layups and transition. So for us, a big thing is going to be our transition defense. We struggled with that a little bit this weekend. We need to do a better job of like talking and not necessarily matching up, but just kind of covering up is what coach says on defense and transition. But yeah, they're just a very high scoring team. They're able to put the ball in the hoop. So defense, again, is going to be a big emphasis for us. Then also, I think our offense, again, we kind of struggled this weekend with offense a little bit. So I think just being able to drive and like get early kickouts and our shooters knock down some shots this weekend.
Awesome. And thought of a question myself here just as we were talking. Are you doing finals right now? Is that next week? What is this? How's your finals?
Yeah, this week's our dead week, and next week's finals week. So yeah, we'll.
And how confident are you in your finals coming up?
Well, I'm pretty confident. I'm actually graduating this December with my undergrad.
Awesome.
So yeah, my finals aren't too hard this semester. So I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah, that's good that you're completing it. And what's the dream job for you?
Yeah, I'm not still sure. I mean, my major is exercise science. I'm going to be starting a master's program in that. So kind of wherever that takes me, we'll see.
All right. Well, you're still young, so you still got some time to figure it out. And try to balance the finals homework and the test with watching film. All right. Don't do too much.
Of course.
All right?
I will. Thank you.
All right. Well, Shiloh, it was nice talking to you.
You too. Thanks.
Yep.
There were 4 matchups earlier in the week for both men's and women's. Let's go through them now. On the men's side, Rogers State were winners against Pittsburgh State. Emporia State got a win at Newman. Missouri Western edged out Lincoln, and Central Oklahoma topped Washburn.
Pittsburgh State traveled to Oklahoma as the Gorillas beat Rogers State 74-60. Emporia State dominates in Wichita, Kansas, as the Hornets leave a bad sting on Newman, winning 71-57. On Thursday, Missouri Western makes an impact win, as they've won 7 in a row now after defeating Lincoln 88-52. The last weekday matchup saw 2 teams in Washburn and Central Oklahoma. The Broncos got the edge in this one, posting a 69-58 victory.
Now shifting to standings coming into today, Missouri Western sits alone at 3-0, Fort Hays, Northwest, and Missouri Southern are all 2-0, Central Missouri won their lone matchup, Emporia State and Central Missouri are next at 2-1, Rogers, Washburn, and Pitt State are 1-2, Northeastern, Kearney, Lincoln, and Newman round things out.
As the dust clears from the 4 earlier matchups this week, let's take a look at how the MIAA women's basketball standings look heading into the weekend. Missouri Western sits atop the MIAA standings alone with a conference record of 3-0. Fort Hays State, Nebraska-Kearney, Northwest Missouri, and Missouri Southern are tied for second with a 2-0 MIAA record. Central Missouri stands alone in the 6th spot with a 1-0 MIAA record. Tied for 7th are teams Pittsburgh State and Central Oklahoma with a 2-1 conference record. In 9th place is Emporia State, sitting at 1-2 in the MIAA. Lincoln, Northeastern State are near the bottom with 0-2 record play. Rogers State, Newman, and Washburn round out the bottom of the conference with identical 0-3 records in MIAA play. For the first time this season, all 14 MIAA men's and women's teams are in action this afternoon. Be sure to catch all the action live on the MIAA network.
Some great matchups are taking place today, and the one I'm particularly excited for is the Central Missouri women heading to Missouri Western.
This is going to be a battle between a Griffins team that's won their first 7 games of the year and a Jennies team that was 2 points away from playing for a national championship a year ago. The Jennies have been carried by a big 3 of Brooke Luttrell, Olivia Nelson, and Nija Collier, who are averaging 17, 17, and 20 points a night respectively. They've been efficient on offense, sitting 3rd in the conference in points per game, with help from Charlie Boviard, shooting 47% from 3. The Griffins have been getting it done on both sides of the ball, sitting 2nd in points for and 3rd in points against. A huge reason for this is Connie Clark, who averages 13 points a night while sitting in the top 10 in the conference in both blocks and steals. Interesting note about this game, 2 of Central Missouri's assistant coaches, along with head coach Dave Slifer, used to coach at Missouri Western.
The game that piques my interest today is the matchup happening in Hays, Kansas, where number 17 ranked Nebraska-Kearney will battle number 1 ranked Fort Hays State.
This game is going to feature one of the most high-powered offenses in Division II women's basketball, the Tigers. Fort Hays State has had 4 players so far average double digits points per game. A notable player to look out for in this game is senior guard Jaden Hobbs. Hobbs has had great success against the Lopers in recent memory. She's averaging 15.8 points and 5.2 assists in 5 games against the Lopers, while scoring in double figures in all 5 contests. For the Lopers, they're only allowing 53.2 points per game, fewest in the conference and the 22nd lowest tally in the country. The Tigers could struggle getting points not only due to a Lopers' high-tempo defense, but also fast break opportunities will be limited. The Lopers lead the conference and rank 5th nationally, with an assist-turnover ratio of 1.33. UNK turns the ball over just 11 times per game, fewest in the league, and 3rd fewest nationally. Fun fact for you MIAA fans, with the Fort Hays State men also entering the weekend 7-0 on the year, the Tigers are one of just 3 schools in Division II and one of only 5 across all NCAA divisions without a loss on the hard court this season. Other schools include Arizona in Division I, Indiana PA, and Texas A&M Commerce in Division II, and Amherst in Division III.
That's going to be a good one too. Not to be outdone, there's plenty of great matchups on the men's side as well, and that includes Emporia State going to Central Oklahoma.
Don't be surprised to see a lot of offense in this one, as these are the top 2 scoring teams in the MIAA squaring off in Edmond. Emporia State boasts the highest scoring player in the MIAA in Trey Buchanan. Buchanan has averaged 27 points a game so far, only being held below 20 once. He's been doing it all, shooting 52% from the field, 46% from 3, and 90% from the free throw line through the first 7 games. He's had a great wingman in Jamari Turner, averaging 17 a night, all culminating in a plus 133 point differential on the season. While the Broncos haven't had one guy carry the load like Buchanan has, they've had a well-balanced attack, seeing 4 guys average double figures. One of these is Isaiah Wade, who has been a force down low with 25 offensive rebounds, which is by far the most in the conference. On the other end of the ball, how about Jaden Wells with 14 steals on the season? Part of the reason the Broncos have scored 16 points a game off turnovers. This has been a very tight rivalry, as the last 8 matchups have been split 4 games apiece.
It's such an honor to watch MIAA basketball consistently, as there are so many great matchups week in and week out. This weekend, I like the Central Missouri at Missouri Western matchup.
I like this Central Missouri at Missouri Western matchup. For Missouri Western, their key will be forcing the Mules inside the paint. The Griffins now have 7-footer J.C. Anthony in regular rotations in the lineup. This has shot up the Griffins' league block rankings, and they now rank first with 3.73 per game. The Mules only have 2 active athletes over 6 foot 5 inches, and attacking the paint and rebounding may become a problem. For the Mules, they'll need to force Missouri Western to turn the ball over, which they haven't had trouble doing so far this season. The Mules hold a big edge in turnovers, forcing 16.8 and allowing just 9.8 per game. This will be a game the Mules need to figure out their 3-point shooting. Central Missouri shoots at a solid 44.1% from the floor, but when they go behind the 3, it kind of trails off as they're only 28.2% on the season. On the topic of 3-pointers, with makes in all 11 contests to open the season, Missouri Western continues to extend its school record with 498 consecutive games with a made 3-pointer. The last time MWSU didn't make a 3-point field goal in a game was February 4th, 2004 at Emporia State when the Griffins went 0 of 7 in a 70-53 loss to the Hornets.
It's time for this week's Sponsor Spotlight. I sat down with Tim Pederson from OpenDoors.
I'm sitting down with Tim Pederson of OpenDoors. Tim, how are we doing today?
I'm doing really well. How are you, Harry?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us.
You bet.
Just to start us off, could you talk about how this partnership came to be and why you and the MIAA felt like it was important to have this available to member schools and their student athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, I have to give a lot of credit to Commissioner Racy and Marshall for helping us get this in place. So how it really started was OpenDoors, and I'll get into who we are and what we're doing, but we every month we kind of share different insights on NIL as far as what student athletes are doing and how much they're getting paid and average and those type of things. And the MIAA was top 15 one month as far as the amount of deals and money. And so I think Mike and Marshall had noticed and mentioned, and we thought, man, if you're already doing this well, imagine if there was some sort of partnership in place, how that could even help out even more. So we got to talking and came up with a great way that the MIAA will now be able to provide some of these great assets and tools to student athletes that are competing. And then by association, a lot of the schools will be be working with us and doing some of those things too. So again, it was just a great idea from Mike and Marshall, and we're really excited about now making something more official and getting to roll that out here in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that's awesome. Could you talk a little bit about the history of the company and how this new NIL legislation has impacted your approach?
Yeah, absolutely. So OpenDoors, we're headquartered in Lincoln, Nebraska, so kind of right in the footprint of the MIAA, which is also great. We've got about 80 now full-time employees. So I've been in OpenDoors for almost 5 years now. When I started, I think that number was somewhere around 20. So we've clearly grown quite a bit. And our background is that our co-founders, Blake Lawrence and Adi Kunalik. Blake Lawrence is actually a Kansas City native. He's a Shawnee Mission West grad, I think, and Kansas Gatorade Player of the Year back in 2007. So don't tell him I gave those accolades, because he likes to pump himself up quite a bit, but was a very good player. Same with Adi. He was a kicker, and they went to school at Nebraska and met obviously a lot of great and talented athletes. And, unfortunately Blake had concussion issues, so he had to stop playing midway through his junior year. And that's why this topic is really near and dear to him, is because he knows that every athlete has a window, and sometimes that window closes. Now, Adi did go on to the NFL. He was a kicker, and he got to experience the athlete endorsement world and see some of those things. But why we're here today is because their teammates that did go on to the NFL had a lot of opportunity, but they had a ton of questions. They were asking things like, all right, how much could I make doing some of this stuff? And can you educate me on what this all means? And how do I stay compliant with the team that I'm playing for in the association? And most importantly, how do I do this athlete endorsement world? Do I have to go find deals? Will people come find me? Should I accept every deal? Should I not? And that is where they started to realize, man, there's just no technology in the space to help not only the athletes, but brands or companies that wanted to work with athletes, the associations they belong to. And so they created what is now OpenDoors, really just trying to help out one of their best friends. A guy named Prince Amukamara was the first athlete ever to work with OpenDoors. And now to almost, I don't even remember our total athlete. I think it's over 60, 70,000 athletes across the world, hundreds of college athletic departments and associations and those type of things. So that's kind of our background and how we got started. And really, what we were trying to do is help athletes understand what their brand was and educate them on what this all meant, how to continue to build that, especially on the social media side of things, where that's the most public thing that's going to be out there. So educating them and helping them build their personal brand there. Then stay compliant by disclosing what they're doing to either the team or the institution that they're a part of. And then finally, OpenDoors Deals is really where we got started. And that is that kind of, for lack of a better term, a marketplace where athletes can go out and put themselves out there and understand who wants to work with them and maybe how much, and do it in a streamlined manner. We talk to a lot of coaches in this business, and I think that their number one concern is that they want the student athletes focused on games, or they want them thinking about school and those type of things. And we totally get that. And so that's why we've made it so easy with the OpenDoors Deals platform to do that. So every athlete in the world, regardless of if we have a connection with the school or team they play for or not, they can download the OpenDoors app. They can go into OpenDoors Deals, opt in, create an account, put up settings as far as what they want to do, what they don't want to do, what they're interested in. And then, for lack of a better term, it's kind of almost like an Airbnb, where people looking to work with athletes and the athletes themselves can come together and put these in place. So really excited about this. We're going to start, as I mentioned, start rolling this out to help student athletes understand that the first place they can go is to OpenDoors Deals and get that going right now. And then a lot of what we're doing with the MIAA is helping them report that, so they a lot of these state laws with NIL. And I didn't answer that question, but so how this has impacted us is obviously when this first started, obviously this is the first time college athletes can make money. So our presentation to athletes in the past has always been, you can't make money right now, but what you can do is you can build your personal brand. You can post a lot on social media at the right time. You can be really engaging, because that's going to help you with followers and those type of things, that whether you go on and go pro or you start a business, you've got this really engaged audience that is now with you for the rest of your life. And so that was our kind of pitch to them in the past, was make sure you're doing this so that when you can capitalize, you're ready to go. Now that time is here. They can actually start making money. And so that's how it changed, where, in the past, we really had to focus on, here's what you do until you can start making money. And now they can start making money. So that adds a lot of layers to it. And that's why we want to help these schools and athletes kind of navigate what's coming here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know a lot of MIAA students have already started to get NIL endorsements, and I know there's got to be a bunch of others that are looking to try to find those. Would you have any tips for any student athletes that are maybe watching this today, want to
Yeah.
find those NIL sponsorships, and how OpenDoors can help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple things that you can do. And obviously the first and foremost is to go to OpenDoors, download the app and opt into deals. And we're going to send out some materials to schools and athletic directors and coaches on how they can do that. But it's a relatively simple process. And that's obviously the first step, is making sure you go to deals, create an account. From there, what we've been telling student athletes is like, this NIL it's a job. It's not maybe as a full-time job, but there is, if you lean into this more, there are ways that you can succeed and put yourself in a good position. So a lot of what we've talked about is everybody gets a link to their own account. And so the first thing you can do is you can share that with anybody that wants to work with you. So whether you get approached on the street or somebody after a game comes up to you, the easiest way to do that is send them to that link, because then that's going to start the process and make it easier to keep all of your transactions in one place. And there are a lot of details with NIL, and that's why, again, I think Mike and Marshall turned to us as like, you can't forget you're going to have to pay taxes on a lot of this stuff. So you got to save some money there, and there's got to be some prep work done. And there's just all these other things that come into it. And that's what OpenDoors Deals does, is help make that easy and keep athletes organized. The other thing we talk about is that when you're an athlete and you're in high school and you're being recruited, you probably have a link to your huddle highlights in your bios so that coaches can find you, and then they can click on the link and see that. Once you get recruited and you're at school, we think that should change to the OpenDoors Deals, link there. So that way, same thing. If you have a great game and somebody comes to try to find you and work with you, number one, you got to have a username that can be found online. So that's another thing we talk about, is make sure, sharpshooter 44 might sound cool to you, but other people out there aren't going to know that's you. So if you cannot be found, you can't be followed, and then you certainly can't start the transaction on deals. And so making it easy to be found is one of the things we also talk about. And then having that link in your bio for all inquiries, go here, or I'm open for business, essentially. That's been a really successful thing for student athletes to do on that front. So there's, and then once you get in there, there's things it's kind of like a LinkedIn page, where the more you put on there, the better. If you talk about your experience and where you're from, and have photos to make sure it's you and get verified, those are the things that can really help.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the MIAA, it has been one of the conference leaders in all divisions of NCAA, just in terms of reaching NIL deals. What could a partnership like this mean going forward, and how do you see this advantage giving the MIAA over other conferences with recruiting and exposure?
Yeah. I think what's tough for us to remember sometimes is that we're only 5 months in now to the NIL era. There was a lot of, it seems like longer, because there was kind of a 2-year period of, all right, this is going to be a thing starting July 1st of 2021, there was the lead up to it and there was the education there, but we're only 5 months into actually having student athletes do these transactions. So the fact that the MIAA is having such great success already is awesome. Now, what this partnership is going to do is I think our biggest thing is just the education piece, and letting people, again, going back to what I said, like, there's just a lot of questions around this. People want to lean into NIL, but they don't know where they should go. The education piece, as far as like, how much am I currently worth? What would I even charge somebody? Is this allowed per my state law and school policy? Is this not? And the MIAA has a couple other great partnerships in place with some other entities that are helping with those too. But I think the educational piece is really important to understand. Like, yes, this is a thing now, because I think there's some athletes that are gun shy a little bit, because their entire life they've just been told, you can't start making money until after you graduate, because there could be eligibility issues and those type of things. So now the fact that the MIAA, any student athlete in the conference, has a place where they can go, they can lean in, they can do this in a compliant manner. I mean, man, the sky is really the limit for this. And the other thing about the MIAA is there's so many great towns that these institutions and schools are a part of, that they want to support these student athletes in the school. And I grew up 90 miles away from Kearney, Nebraska, and where the UNK Lopers are. So shout out to UNK if there's anybody listening out there. And I get it. I grew up going to those games and seeing what a big deal it was. So you can't tell me that there's not a lot of people in those communities that won't say we'd love to support these athletes. But again, just not knowing how to do that or where to go, it has been the biggest challenge. And so we've solved that problem, and we want to make it easy, again, not only for these student athletes, but these companies and brands and fans that are in these communities that can really rally around these student athletes and do that. So the great part about deals is that everything is tracked and monitored, and there's a way to do this in a streamlined fashion where once something's done, then it can report into the monitor system and make sure that the compliance teams have eyes onto it. And that is only going to help to, I guess, rounding out your question. That's where we collect that data from as far as which conferences and schools are doing this the best. And I see the more deals, obviously, the more that's coming in and the better data point, and then the higher this is going to go. And then all these coaches and athletic directors can go out there and say, this is another reason why we're in a great conference. And it's going to be, we're beating out some Division I conferences because of the great support that we get in this place. So really excited about where things can go from here for sure.
Yeah, it's been really impressive to see what's happened in just 5 months. Hard to believe it's only been that long, but
yeah,
it's been
definitely
great to hear about OpenDoors, Tim. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me.
Awesome. Thank you, Harry. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And be sure to follow us across our social media platforms and catch all of the MIAA action on the MIAA Network. I'm Calvin Silvers.
And I'm Harry Loomis. See you all in 2022 as MIAA Basketball Saturday will return on Saturday, January 8th.